Hello and a very warm welcome to the very first ZenootTV weekly programme. This, as it suggests, is going to come to you weekly with a digest of news, stories from manufacturing and expert analysis. And it's brought to us courtesy of Zenoot.com, a name that will be very familiar to you, as will the name of its founder, Mr. Matt Chilton. Matt, a warm welcome to you as well.
Thanks, Nick. Great to be with you and great to bring everybody this new service. Looking forward to the future and producing videos and new content for people regularly.
Matt, your role in this is to provide a sort of news digest at the start of each of these programs. So please, let's just get on with it. What's your first story today?
Yeah, absolutely. The first story is that Lotus Cars has announced it's to open an advanced technology centre in partnership with WMG at the University of Warwick. Initially, 130 engineers will be based there. The company's already said in this announcement that there is room on the site for future expansion, so fantastic story. It comes though just 2 weeks after Lotus said it's going to be opening an all-new sub-assembly manufacturing facility in Norwich that will be manufacturing chassis for their sports cars. So I think this at the moment is a time for growth and investment from Lotus, so long may that continue for them.
That is really good news. I mean, they seem to be on fire. That's, particularly at this time, middle of a pandemic, all kinds of uncertainty around Brexit. Lotus, a great British brand, striding confidently into the future.
Absolutely, and I think there's certainly mixed fortunes for automotive currently, but we are seeing certainly some investing, growing, creating jobs, and hopefully the rest of the automotive sector won't be too far behind in following them.
I think it's great that they're working with the Warwick Manufacturing Group, and it just means yet again that the confluence of academia, the high-value manufacturing catapult and industry can generate terrific growth. The same is really true of your next story about BAE Systems and their new intelligent factory at Wharton, because that actually has had the input of the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre, has it not?
It has, and yes, so BAE Systems have unveiled their new intelligent factory in Wharton, multi-million-pound investment with 40 odd partners. Interesting that this is focused on the future of combat aircraft manufacturing, i.e. the Tempest aircraft. A fantastic investment from BAE Systems, and again, one to watch in future, absolutely.
What does an intelligent factory actually do? We keep hearing about smart factories, intelligent factories. What makes it so special?
So they've said it will be game-changing digital technology to advance the research, technology and manufacture of the Tempest aircraft. That is the end goal. And I think it's interesting, and we will certainly watch developments and look at how they've improved operations, productivity, using automation and other things within the business in augmented reality as well. So I think that's what their focus has been, and it's again a line of investment from BAE Systems wanting to embrace digital. And I hope that whether it be another large manufacturing business or an SME manufacturer, as this project develops in the coming months and years, others will be able to learn from it with real world opportunities for them to apply what BAE are doing in their factories as well.
Yeah, that's a terrific point. Let's stick with aerospace for your next story, because you've got some, again, very, very positive news about a major new investment.
Yeah, so a total of £400 million investment for research and technology in the aviation aerospace industry. It's £200 million of government funding backed by the same amount from partners that are running the projects. Airbus are leading on wings, which will be research on more efficient wing assembly, system installation and wing concepts, including the folding wing tips. The second is Rolls-Royce, who are leading on engines and specifically the development of their UltraFan engine technology to improve efficiency and reduce environmental impact of each aircraft that has these UltraFan engines installed on it. The third is Safran Electrical and Power UK, focused on electrical power systems, which will lead to more efficient energy usage in the aircraft, which I think is interesting. And the final one, led by Williams Advanced Engineering, that is looking at lightweighting and specifically lightweight seat structures for reducing weight in the aircraft, when it's flying. So I think those 4 projects combined, as individual projects, of course, yes, lots of innovation, lots of research within them, but for the wider future of the aerospace industry, that can only be a positive as it starts, hopefully soon, to get back on its feet after, obviously, as we all know, a very, very turbulent time.
Well, Matt, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date with those stories. I look forward to seeing you next week and every week on ZenootTV Weekly. Here's to a great future for you, me, and for manufacturers watching this service.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Nick. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Okay, Matt Chilton there. Okay, stay with us because in a moment we're going to find out how a factory in Liverpool managed to keep its doors open and increase its order book simply by using social media. So when coronavirus hit UK manufacturing, it caused, as we know, an absolute sideswipe for everybody involved. For some people, it meant gearing up to satisfy demand for things like PPE and so on. For other people, it was a precipitous decline in orders, and they had to start thinking about shutting down, laying people off, and so on. So what went through your mind when you realized the full difficulty that was coming down the track? My next guest had a really interesting thought about how to deal with the coronavirus pandemic and the effect it might have on her business. She's Medina Barker. She's co-owner and director at CNC Robotics in Liverpool. Medina, a very warm welcome to you.
Oh, hi Nick, how are you?
I'm just great, thank you. And apparently you guys at CNC Robotics are doing very well too. And I really want to understand what it was you did, your strategy for helping you get through the pandemic and the crisis it entailed for most manufacturers.
One of the key strategies that we've had is to really continue that drumbeat, you know, that messaging that we absolutely are still open for business. I think, you know, it was really conflicting on social media. I saw lots and lots of other manufacturers, you know, in really difficult situations. And I guess there was kind of this outpouring on social media from lots of manufacturers regarding, you know, whether they were going to stay open or whether they were closing. And I think the picture was really kind of mixed from all different sectors. As we know, you know, hospitality in particular was really badly hit. But us as manufacturers, we decided to absolutely keep going with our marketing strategy, to keep creating that awareness. We are still here, we are still automating, and we are still selling. You know, just because our staff were working from home, you know, it didn't mean that we weren't still open to having those conversations about new business, and also to have those conversations with existing customers, that absolutely we are still working and we will work through this, and we will still deliver. I think, you know, at the height of the pandemic, realistically, our backlog was probably a couple of weeks difference. And obviously we've had some really understanding customers. Everybody's been kind of going through this together at the same time. And I think, you know, our key messaging is that we're still open. And I think that's instilled a lot of confidence in new customers, that actually, you know, they're not going to place their trust in us. They're not going to kind of give us their order and then we're going to close the next day. And I absolutely believe 100% that's why we've been winning lots of new business over this period of time.
I think that's a really important piece of advice, because the fact of the matter is that as far as anybody out there who might be thinking of using your services, you don't know if they're worried about your viability, because you'll never get to see them. And this is a really clever way of ensuring that you cast your nets as far and as wide as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think everybody, prior to maybe this pandemic, none of us really probably understood the connection that we have via social media. You know, all of us are using Zoom. Prior to the pandemic, we used Zoom regularly as an organisation anyway. So we were lucky, we'd already been using it, but nowhere near to the extent that obviously loads of us have used it throughout the pandemic, and I think that's key in itself. It's opened up new opportunities for all of us. We don't need to rush down the M6 anymore, drive 4 hours to a meeting, where now we can do that via Zoom. We can have those initial scoping meetings via Zoom. We can talk our customers or potential new customers through our processes, how that's going to work, and I think, I believe actually this pandemic's opened up a lot of opportunities, and it's about capitalising on those for a lot of us in manufacturing.
Okay, Medina, for those people who don't know what line of business you're in, despite the fact that you have robotics in your company name, tell us what CNC Robotics actually does.
So we do a variety of different things, actually. We automate people's processes. So we use robotic automation, and we will go into a customer's premises or site, and we will look at their manufacturing challenge, and we will enable them to understand how potentially they could automate that, how they could streamline their processes, maybe take out a particular process that's quite dirty or quite kind of laborious, and really walk them through how they can make those transformations. We work in a lot of different sectors, right from aerospace, automotive, plastics, composites, right down to the kind of education sector. We've got many systems in universities around the country. We work with prop makers. We work with people who make scenery for TV and film. So realistically, anything that you can think of that would need automating or could benefit from an automated process, that's where we sit. That's what we do.
Has the pandemic crisis changed any of your plans for the business going forward? I know you mentioned that things like going to see people in person may not necessarily be so much of a priority, but has the pandemic forced you to rethink any of your longer term strategies?
For us, what it's done is open up more opportunity. We are fortunate. We understand that we're fortunate, but we also believe that we've created that fortune. We've been consistent. We've kept that drumbeat of marketing going, to really enable customers to see we are still here. We are still working. And actually, over this period, we still managed to employ 5 new people, and we did that via Zoom interviews. And then when it was safe to do so, we kind of had those potential candidates come in for a face-to-face interview, and everything obviously socially distanced. But realistically, I think it's just opened up lots more opportunities, and I think that the people that are surviving, the people that are winning, are those that have been able to capitalise on those opportunities and to really grab them with both hands and be more flexible, be more agile, and work through it.
I was just about to ask you if you had any advice for your fellow manufacturers, and I think you've just delivered it very handsomely indeed. Medina, thank you very much indeed for joining us on ZenootTV Weekly. Great to have you with us.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick. Lovely to talk to you.
And you. And don't go away now, because in a moment we'll be talking to Juergen Maier. And now to a man who I can safely say is a true legend in UK manufacturing, former CEO of Siemens UK, now chairman of the Digital Catapult, and of course chairman of the Made Smarter Commission, and a tireless advocate for the adoption of smart manufacturing, advanced manufacturing technologies by UK manufacturing. It is of course Juergen Maier. Juergen, a very warm welcome.
It's great to be with you, Nick, and you've been an advocate of manufacturing much more than I have, but it's brilliant to be here and see you in such great spirits.
Well, thank you so much. Juergen, how has lockdown been for you? Because it came as a total surprise to everybody. I think you had just been on holiday in Europe at the time. It must have been you can't even take up your job full time at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was extremely lucky to have managed to get a holiday in because after my retirement from Siemens, I planned that wonderful trip to New Zealand and Australia, and yes, I just got back in the nip of time. And well, look, it's been strange for everybody, but I just consider myself hugely hugely privileged, and I've just been doing what I can do from my home office to keep supporting my passion. And my passion, as you know, is advanced manufacturing and the take-up of digital technologies, as you say. And I've been involved in numerous initiatives in that space: Digital Catapult, Made Smarter, and broader. But I'm sure we'll talk about some of that in this interview. I look forward to it.
Indeed. Well, let's put it this way. I know what you have been doing partly on your lockdown journey, because you put out a video of you 3D printing PPE masks on your dining room table. That is taking support to the nth degree, I would suggest.
Well, I had sort of many projects in mind for my early retirement. I thought, I'm finally going to have a little bit more time. So I had already bought the 3D printer, and I'll be honest with you, I had not really put it to great use. And well, what an opportunity. We knew that local care homes were screaming out for face masks. We saw that people were doing this. We thought, well, we could do our own little communal factory. And so me and my partner, and I'm going to say my partner Richard takes all of the credit for downloading the files from the marketplaces where these files were readily available. You just have to adapt them slightly on a little bit of CAD software. I helped with that. It was actually really good fun to go back to my old design days and get out a CAD tool and redesign a little bit of a tool. And hey, we delivered some masks to lots of local private care homes, and they were very grateful. And I mean, it was small scale, but it was good fun, and it felt great to be able to add some value in what was obviously developing as this huge crisis.
UK manufacturing's response to the crisis has been nothing short of fantastic. Companies pivoting their production lines to turn out PPE. There was, of course, the UK ventilator challenge. That has been a tremendous success and demonstrated the power of collaboration between industry, academia, other companies collaborating between themselves, and of course input from government. A great advertisement for the power of UK manufacturing.
Yes, totally. And for all of the horrible things that have come with COVID, there are always good things that come out of crises. And I think you've just hit that really positive thing. It has so much accelerated what is possible with the use of digital technology. So in many ways, the sorts of things that I've been talking about for a very long time, the things we've been promoting with Made Smarter, which is all about the adoption of digital technologies. Well, here was a crisis that showed how useful this technology is, So, and the ventilator challenge, I think, is a perfect example. Here, there was a team coming together from different companies. I'm very pleased to say, my old company, Siemens, from Rolls-Royce, from GKN, Meggitt, all sorts of companies, and the people had never met. They did everything virtually. They redesigned the product virtually using virtual design tools. They designed the manufacturing process completely virtually. They simulated the manufacturing process. They created the perfect digital twin of the product and of the manufacturing process. And hey, it was only then that a few of them went into a manufacturing site, all socially distanced, of course, and started creating the new ventilators, which are now in use. I mean, what an amazing story. But what it tells you is that you don't actually need that crisis. The use of virtual production modeling, of creating digital twins, it is such an advantage to getting products into the market quickly, efficiently, and in the process to raise productivity significantly. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I think a lot of people have learned a lot about digital technologies.
Absolutely. And the fact that, as you say, it took a crisis for a great many people to start adapting. We heard in our previous interview from Medina Barker at CNC Robotics about how she believes that their company's readiness to adapt swiftly, and of course Medina is part of the Made Smarter project as well up in the Northwest, demonstrates that you cannot change and adapt if you don't have the tools to help you do it. Now, you mentioned Made Smarter, and it's a Northwest pilot, of course, has been very, very successful. Do you anticipate this is going to get rolled out across the country? Because I think the country's crying out for it.
I do have hopes for it. I mean, we are a little bit in the hands of government with that, but I can say that we've been carrying on with our meetings of the Made Smarter Commission, which consists of many of great British manufacturers like Rolls-Royce, Siemens, BAE Systems, also plenty of SME companies involved in the initiative, and and I think what our last commission meeting, which was a few weeks ago, showed is that exactly what you just said, is this crisis has shown us how pivotal and how important these digital technologies are to be able to make our manufacturing more productive, to give our manufacturing more opportunities to export the products which they are innovating and building. And I'm feeling quite confident that government is going to run with us and work with us to get some significant funding for the scale up across the country as part of the next comprehensive spending review. But we are going to have to put our business cases in. We're working with regions at the moment, like the West Midlands, like the Southwest, to get those bids in, and we want us Made Smarter to make sure we're helping bring all of that together to really create a national scale up of Made Smarter. That's our aim.
Now, I won't use the word crisis, although I just did, to describe the potential upheaval around the corner from Brexit, but this is a double whammy for manufacturing. We don't know what the shape of any deal, if there is one, is going to look like. I know, having heard you in the media over the last few weeks, you have expressed extreme concern about this.
Yes, look, it's the last thing, especially manufacturers, are needed right now. But the truth is I think, despite having continued to put some pressure up, that we don't just need a deal. We need a deal of reasonable alignment. Manufacturers, I don't speak to any manufacturer. There are a few, but most manufacturers are clear that we need a level playing field. We need to align on regulation. The truth is it's unlikely that it's going to happen. So I think manufacturers are now sort of resigning themselves to the fact that here are some more barriers, which are not great. There is going to be lots of customs declarations. There's probably going to end up being, a British set of standards and a European set of standards, which to me is complete nonsense. But that's what it's going to be. And there comes a point where you just say, look, I've got to protect my future. And therefore, actually what it means is you've got to double down on digital technologies and on productivity in other ways. So, and actually, like I've said many times before, Made Smarter and the adoption of digital technologies is really an antidote to some of the friction that we're seeing put in place through Brexit, and now sadly, it's through the friction that many manufacturers. I mean, some manufacturers are doing rather well in COVID, but most are finding it harder. So now we've got all of these more difficult trading environments, and well, it just means we've got to do what manufacturers are best at, which is innovate, be ingenious, innovate, create new technologies, and do what manufacturing is good at.
Well, Juergen, we could carry on talking forever, as always, because it's so fascinating to discuss these things with you, but we have run out of time. I just want to thank you very much indeed for all you do for manufacturing, for being on the show today, and we look forward to catching up with you sometime in the near future.
Always a pleasure to speak to you, Nick, and let's hope for the best for manufacturing in the UK. And by the way, there is some great news today. I guess you've seen the PMI for manufacturing today, and which is showing that there is some optimism returning. So let's leave on a high that there is some optimism, and manufacturing is going to rise to the challenge and continue with a great sector in the UK. See you soon.
Juergen Maier, and how lucky UK manufacturing is to have a champion of his calibre and his passion in its corner. That's the end of our very first ZenootTV Weekly. I do hope you enjoyed it. We'll have a new edition for you every Monday, so I hope you'll join me again next time. I'm Nick Peters. Until then, goodbye.